Yo, yes, you need Monarch Lucy, bro. You need Monarch Lucy. Yeah, honestly, I'm just joking, chill out. But the reason you need a spark unit is because Kaguya, she gains the spark element, and as you guys saw, the yeah, it's a 198% spark buff. And if you guys don't know, Kaguya can take the element, and she gets the buff for it. So the two main essential monarchs are Kaguya and Escanor. Then Sanjimu need Deadeye, because if you guys don't know, his summons can crit. His base Arise summons and even his normal elite summons, they both can crit. So if you can apply a good burb on him, you can get extra crit chance and extra crit damage. You can do a lot of damage, to be honest, with the summons. And then as you can see, but yeah, also for the spark unit, you can just replace it with any spark unit, as I said. You know, low key, if you have Monarch Dave, you probably end up cooking this tournament, because Dave is actually a pretty decent DPS unit, especially with that spark buff. The only reason I brought you Lucy is just for the trolls. She's not needed, don't worry, she's not needed. Then you got Chuchalin, he's definitely needed, because if you guys don't know, he applies Rupture on his upgrade 7, so you need it for the first boss. And if you guys experienced or played this tournament before, in the first 2 days, whatever it's been, the first boss has like crazy regen, so you can't really do anything to him. So that's why you need to apply Rupture to him, and that's pretty much it. You know, this is a team, and that's the explanation for each of them. Don't worry, Lucy's not needed. I specified this like 3 times for you guys, so I better not see the comments about, yo, why do you need to put Lucy, like, or what are you doing? But honestly, she's not needed, and I'll have to probably put that into the text on the screen when the tournament starts, because some people will get confused and start being stupid. But familiars wise, you want a gun on your spark unit, you want a gun on your Kaguya, you want a gun on your Escanor, you want a burb on him, and you want the AV familiar on him. That's pretty much it. So let's just get into this and, you know, have fun and enjoy. Yo, okay guys, so basically as you can see on screen, Lucy is not needed, but I'll quickly specify why, because, you know, we're just gonna have a spark unit for Kaguya's buff, and it's a 197% spark buff, so that's why we got a spark unit. And I just use Lucy because she's Monarch and it's just for trolls. Don't worry. To be honest, this strat is not too hard to follow. Low key, this tournament has been pretty chill, you know. Compared to the last one gave me a headache, you know. This was not as bad. So, it's fine, I guess. But yeah, if you got a Monarch Dave, low key cooking, if I lie. Monarch Dave might actually be so good for this. Because he alone has like some crazy DPS. With the Spark buff, he's doing some crazy numbers. That's what I can say. But if you did skip the intro, let's say here, the familiars on our units are, you got a gun for Lucy, a gun for, a gun for your Spark unit, a gun for your Kaguya, a gun for your Escanor, a crit burb for your Sanjiru, and then an AV familiar, as you can see, for your Lancer. And then of course for your farm, you got a Padoru. If you ain't got a Padoru, Loki, yeah, I don't know what you use. But I'm pretty sure if you're a newer player with the summer event, there's like a way to get old familiars, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. You run the event shops. It says unrecognized familiar or something. And only upgrade the Lancer until he gets enough money for upgrade 7. So waiting until we get 27,750. As soon as we hit that number, we're gonna upgrade him. Yeah, cool. And just one is enough for that point, because he can break shields, he can apply rupture. He's like 5 or 6 hits, I'm not sure, but he's enough for that. For the one single shields, because it's just 3 shields. And if you're wondering why we don't place Escanor, because we're trying to save his placement for wave 11, because the second boss is an attack titan, and if we place Escanor at a certain wave, he would have his full what's it, glass hours, hourly, I don't know what it's called, the glass hour thingies, time hour, yeah, I don't know, but he has the hours, sun hours, yeah, I'm just smoking something, but he has the hours at like 12 when the boss is within his range, so you'll see, that's why we place him a bit later. So as soon as wave 11 hits, you place your Escanor and you just upgrade him. He's gonna be the first unit in max, so the priority order, yeah, Loki, I should put it somewhere on screen, but priority order is Escanor into Kaguya into Sanjagus into, yeah, Lucy's relevant, but yeah, I guess Lucy or whoever your spark unit is. And now you got Sanjagus here. If you're wondering why I'm putting them in range, but you're probably confused why I'm putting them on range, of course not, but if you see Sanjagus passive, one of his passives, he gets extra damage when a summon dies with an allied summon dies within his range, so technically you can get him to like a 2.1 mod player, so it's kind of good for the summons HP. Because if you guys don't know, you want the damage stat of your own Sanjagus to be as high as possible, because if the difference is very, like, the gap is too wide between the enemy HP and Sanjagu's damage stat, you'll use more mana when summoning summons. So that's why we upgrade Sanjagus later, and that's why we're going to try to get as much damage as possible, which is why I placed him there. Even though depleted is active, like, he's going to be hitting and reducing his mana, his bar, it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Wait, does it even work for his mana bar? I'm not sure. They might have changed it. But as soon as Escanor is here and the boss is there, you're going to switch him to boss's targeting. And Kaguya should be at the back just cleaning up these units, these enemies. As soon as you come back to Escanor, you start working on Kaguya. Make sure you keep alternating between fire and sand domain. So you want Escanor's maxed, you just want to focus Kaguya. And the nice thing about this placement, if you don't know, it's very good for his third passive. Escanor's third passive is something like when enemies leave his range, or like, yeah, enemies leave his range, they take his damage for like 100%. So it's something like that. And that's why you see the enemies, it just breaks up like the gap between the enemies. As soon as they leave his range, it takes some crazy damage. Well, and here I'm just playing around with the targeting of the Kaguyas, switching them to last, switching them to first. You don't have to do this, but it helps a tiny bit. Because the closer the enemies are together, the easier it is for them to get revitalized. Yeah, but as you can see, Escanor by himself took this nuclear giant to 10 more HP, which is crazy. As you can see, I saved my domain for when those front mobs died, so we can have this Kaguya just closer up to the nuclear giant. And I set my Kaguya to closest because as soon as the mobs are getting closer, I want her to target those mobs. And as soon as wave 22 starts, as you saw, I turned off auto wave skip. And as soon as wave 23 starts, that's when you turn it back on. And you'll see why. Right now, Escanor is on 11 hour stacks, so as soon as the attack titan's in range, we're going to be skipping the wave. So he's going to be on 12 hour stacks for when the attack titan's within his range. So for most of his hits during the attack titan is in his range, he's going to be hatting. He's going to be hitting for most of his damage. So you'll see, look, I'm waiting for the attack titan to enter range. As soon as Escanor switches, which he did now, I click yes, and boom. And as soon as the Kaguya is maxed, I'm gonna be upgrading Sanjagus. So you just pull out your manage your unit manager and you just start upgrading. Switched my Kogi over here to bosses just to get a few hits on this boss. But of course when the boss leaves range it's gonna be not hitting anyway, so it's quite tricky with this part. But you don't really need her to be attacking the boss at all times. Just a few hits. And while he's on 10-hour stacks, I use his ability, as you can see. When those mobs at the front are close to leaking, I just use it now. Lion's Sin. And you're probably wondering why do I not save it for his ultimate ability. Doesn't really add that much damage to be honest. You saw it added barely like a billion, so it's pretty worthless. It's only like 4x damage, no 5x damage actually, 400% 5x, yeah. So that was like a 4 million nuke, which is nothing crazy. And if these mobs early on did not die from it, then it's pretty worthless towards later game. But remember, Kaguya, you're gonna set it to closest. Pretty sure I do it soon. Yeah, Kaguya to closest. Yeah, am I gonna do it or not? I'll get closest, deal with these mobs, let the boss that just to the summons. You don't want to be using any of your domains now because, as you know, Kaguya TPs upon the domain switching. And here, you just let your Eskin and Kaguya do their job. The Sanjuru summons should kill this Eren. I think in this run it was a tight kill for me, but, you know, of course, you guys can do better. You can just have Kaguya follow the Eren boss if you guys are struggling. Yeah, I got the lucky kill in this one, but you can just have Kaguya following Eren if you want. And now you can use your domain once the Eren boss is dead. And as soon as wave 30 hits, we're going to be using ultimate. As you can see, wave 30 just hits now and straight away use ultimate. 5 waves, remember, keep track of it. You want to be utilizing auto wave skip off for some of his waves so you can have maximum uptime on his ultimate ability. Here I place my Lucy, but whoever your spark unit is, you can just place them here. You don't have to place all 3, you can just upgrade, just place 1 if you want. Just need someone to deal with like a few of those leaks, just deal a bit more damage. It might not make that much of a difference, but a small amount of damage makes a big difference. Just in the long run, to be honest. If that makes sense. I might just be yapping, to be honest, but hope it makes sense. But here, auto off, as you see. Auto wave skip off. And Mancho Sanjimu's over here. As you can see, the summons are dying within the range, so they're getting a bit more damage. Meaning they're not using as much mana for summons. I think towards the end, you know, with max passive, they use like 20 mana per summon, so which is not too bad. It's either that or they just somehow still use like a high amount. Because the HP scaling on these mobs are quite crazy. Also, make sure you're on top of your domain switching because you do not want to be passive with the domains. You want to be keep on applying them non-stop. See, Kaguya set to closest by the way, so you don't want it to be on first, just getting out like just yeah, her TP switching when set to first is kinda annoying, so keep on closest. And with each ability use and domain switch, she's gonna be following it regardless, so it's fine. And now look, wave 34 is the last wave we have of Escanor ultimate uptime, so I'm gonna keep track of that. And you'll see what I do eventually later. Before wave 35 hits, I sell him and place him at the back because if you guys don't know, he auto sells himself and I'm pretty sure you do not get any refunded cost for it, so no point of just letting him sell himself. You'd rather just have him. You'd rather have yourself sell him and then get a bit of yen from him as well. You'll see. I placed the Lucy back here just for extra leakage. Just to deal with these leaks a bit more. Not doing much damage, but still a minor difference. So whoever your spark unit is, just place them there again. And just let them do what they want. You'll see, look, we're about to go to wave 35 where he will auto sell. I sell him myself and place him back here. Also, if you want to be a bit smart with this, you can have a better placement and have it so Escanor allows the enemies to leave his range slightly so he can get the third passive proccing. That third passive actually makes a big difference, especially when you have low hour stacks. And also, I used my Kage domain into after the thingy, after I was in fire domain, and sadly enough, was not able to kill Kenny. And here I flopped with my yes skipping, so don't do the same mistake. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Peace. Yeah, see you guys.